Heyo everyone and welcome. I'm your friend artofmana, and with me today is my great friend Scooter102089, also known as Chaser the Ultimate Gamer. Hey, how's it going?
Good, how you doing? Hey guys, Chaser the Ultimate Gamer here. Welcome into a fun video that I'm planning here with the awesome and amazing artofmana here. So great to be able to do this today with you.
It's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this. And that was the smoothest transition into a video. Man, we're pros.
We're the best. Nothing's going to ever keep us down, you know.
So, we have just seen a very large announcement from Nintendo based on the fact that this is the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Brothers franchise. And we have a lot to talk about and unpack, as well as some games to play for you today.
Absolutely.
But speaking of unpacking, well, we've decided we're going to play some Super Mario All-Stars, not the 3D version. And I have something to share, which is this right here.
Look at that. So
beautiful.
Beautiful.
I've been sitting on this for a while, waiting for a chance to do a video on this with you, and so I'm really glad to get the opportunity today. This is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System controller made for SNES Online. I'm really pumped to give this a go.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to have.
I know nothing other than it looks like a Super Nintendo controller and it works on my Switch. And let's go ahead and open it right now, shall we? We'll waste no time. No time.
Go for it. Let's take a closer look at this. Unfortunately, I could not get my hands on one. They sold out pretty quickly so I'm still on the lookout for one. So hopefully I'll be able to get one at some point. But I still will have something to show you guys. So don't count me out. But,
stay tuned.
But let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this.
This one here, very simple box. Actually, this box reminds me of the old Super Nintendo games. Look at that. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that before, but isn't that totally exactly the way they formed their boxes for the Super Nintendo games?
I think they did.
In fact, you know what? I can even pull one out in a moment, and we're going to compare that, because I believe that is the same, obviously with an extender on the bottom, but that is the same kind of construction right there. Yeah, that is pretty cool. And then also we have in the box a cable for charging, which is pretty cool. And that's underneath there. That's what that spacer is for. And there's just a little plastic sheet that goes on the top. And then this can just pull right out.
As people know with this controller, it's not like the NES ones where you can actually slide them into your dock, which I thought was a really clever idea. They decided to go the Nintendo Pro Controller route for this controller.
And I think that's a wise decision, considering you have shoulder buttons, so it would probably be a little awkward to have the controllers themselves slide in. You'd probably have to do something a little different.
Agreed.
Okay, so here we have our standard USB Type-C. Yep, that's it. I love it. Even Apple's go into USB Type-C.
It's the best way to do it. I don't think they break as easily, and they're more put together. So I think it makes a lot of sense for everyone to go to it. It's kind of funny though. Nintendo is the first of the consoles to do it.
That is true, isn't it? All right. So here we have our controller, and we're going to take this out of the bag.
Yes.
And I mean, I'll tell you right now, this feels just like I would remember it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a great texture, but then here we have obviously some differences. On the back, it seems to be pretty similar, although I feel like it might have a couple extra screw holes that weren't in the original. I'm not entirely sure. I probably should have an original handy, but I don't. But also, of course, you have the difference in the mold on the back there. Interestingly, though, on the bottom here, we have our sync button and our indicator lights. And then on the top, look at this. We've got our USB Type-C and then these cute little ZR and ZL buttons, which are clicky. You can kind of hear them. Good clicky buttons.
I can hear it.
These are your standard L and R from Super Nintendo. Those are clicky. Everything else, though, feels the same. So I'm really looking forward to trying this today. And I think before we cut, I'm just going to grab the or actually, why don't you start chatting and then I'll grab the game box here.
Okay.
You can start doing your unboxing and then I'll grab a game box to compare this to.
Cool. Well, I don't. It's not really unboxed, but I'll go into more detail about this. I have a Super Nintendo like controller. It's not the name brand, but nicely, Tekken, which I will put a link in my video part down below of them if you want to check them out. They actually sent me a review copy of this controller right here, which is like really, really nice. It definitely has a nice feel to Super Nintendo. I think it feels more like one of those third-party brand ones that you would get for the Super Nintendo, but I feel like the quality of it is at least there. It feels really smooth. It has a nice grip to it. And obviously, it's very nice that you'll be able to play pretty much all your games because of the fact it does have the analog support as well. So no games will get left behind. And this one is really nice too because it actually works with your standard, either your Super Nintendo controller like Mana has. It uses the regular USB-C. This is my Switch Pro controller one, and it works perfectly fine. And the fact that not only can you use this with your Switch system, but you can also use this on your PC. So you get a nice little bonus there. I believe the price is $30. And honestly, it has rumble support too. It doesn't have the NFC or any of those fancy little things. I think it might have gyro too. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that. But overall, I've actually really enjoyed this controller, and I'm really appreciative that they actually sent this for me to do my impressions and review on. So
$30 is a really good deal. That's definitely worth a little bit of coinage to get yourself a good controller. I'm kind of curious to compare it to this.
Okay, that's the 8BitDo one, if I'm correct, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I like 8BitDo's products. I don't have a controller from them, but I do have the USB adapter, so I can use my Switch Pro controller or any of those on my PC. And those really help me with Steam very well, and also PC games that are not from Steam or even emulators. They actually work really, really well for that too. So it really comes in handy.
Nice. So what would you say, just holding it up, are the differences in build quality or button placement or things like that? Is there anything?
Well, unfortunately, because you have the camera lower, I can't see it exactly. There you go. Well, obviously, your colors are more traditional to the North America Super Nintendo, whereas my color scheme is actually for the European and the Japan model of the Super Nintendo. See, I got the red, blue, yellow, and green, whereas you got the two different shades of purple.
It also looks to me like your home button and your camera button are on the top in a grid of 3. Is that right?
That's correct. They decided to do that and bring the start and sorry, no. They had the plus and the minus button up in that small little compartment with the home button, and then the camera, and then the I don't know what button that's supposed to be. That's probably the turbo button. Yeah, that's got to be the turbo button. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
And then they put those two buttons down at the bottom there. So, and those are the two buttons that are in the style of the Super Nintendo. However, they are horizontal and not vertical. So that's another big difference. But it's still got all the buttons up on the top like yours. It's got the L and R and the ZR and the ZL.
Yep, mine have that as well, just like that.
If I remember correctly, because I used to have a Super Nintendo controller around here, and I don't remember. This is definitely a lot lighter.
Okay.
This definitely feels a lot lighter. And I feel like maybe the quality won't be the exact same. It might be a little bit less, but I still feel like it's really durable. So I don't really feel like that it's going to be breaking on you anytime soon. And I've had this for quite a while, and I've used it, so it's not like it's going to break on you day one or something like that. Because I always got very, very scared of third-party controllers, especially GameCube era.
Right.
Controllers by third-party were not the best. Let's just be honest. But honestly, I'm glad that they sent this to me because it proved me wrong that you can actually make a good third-party controller because I've actually really enjoyed using this. And personally, I like using this one for the retro games because of the fact the D-pad is on the top.
Right, that is really nice. It's the PlayStation layout, really, but I like that layout.
Yeah. The only thing I really wish it would have is the design like a PlayStation where it had like the legs, I guess. That's
right.
The only other thing I would like.
Which is what 8-Bit Do actually ended up doing after this model.
Yes, they did. Which I would love to get that one at some point, but $50 for a controller, I'm just like,
you almost really might as well get the actual Pro controller at that cost.
At that point, yes, because the Switch Pro controller, I think, personally, is hands down one of my favorite controllers. And I'm going to say personally because as someone who is a disabled gamer, and I'm not ashamed to say it, it works the best for me. I've never felt so happy with a controller. The Wii U Pro controller, too bulky. PlayStation controller, that big button in the middle always gets in my way. Xbox, that's also a little bulky for my taste. But how smooth the Switch Pro controller and all the buttons are aligned and stuff, honestly, I have to say it was a godsend for me. Like,
nice.
I was so nervous of buying it for $70, $80 when it came out.
Right.
But I can honestly say I could never go backwards again. I hope that they would fix a few things with it, like the D-pad, because it is a little wonky. And the other thing I wish they would fix is, why didn't they put analog L and R button, the ZR and the ZL buttons? I don't see why they didn't do that.
Although I will say my personal preference is non-analog for those.
Really?
However, maybe an option to switch between them would have been nice.
Yeah, that would have been really nice because there's some games that really do benefit for the analog.
Mm-hmm.
Like example for the Super Mario All-Stars, like the Super Mario Sunshine. That was a good example of using it because you press it down, you don't spray as much water, and you press it down all the way, you spray more water. They had some quite differences. So,
right.
I wish they would have thought of that. But overall, though, the gripes that I have with it are so minuscule that no controller is going to be perfect. I've realized that for a long time, but this is about as close as you can get.
It's true. It's a very good controller. So I am curious, one thing on your controller before we move on. Where are the home and the snapshot buttons?
Okay. I'll bring it closer to the camera so you can see. You stand up. So as you can see, the home button is right in the middle because there's the 3 buttons at the top. You got the plus and the minus right there on the left and the right.
It's what would have been start and select.
Yeah, exactly. The start and select are in the spot, and then the 2 buttons down below is the screenshot, and then the turbo button.
What I like about that layout is it prevents you from accidentally hitting one of those buttons, like I always do when I'm playing a game where I roll my finger down and hit the home button accidentally. I'm often holding and gripping this way, like this, right? And so I'm running with Y and then rocking my thumb down to hit the B button, and sometimes when I get excited, I roll all the way down and hit that home button. It's been frustrating quite frequently.
I always thought that was a very weird spot for 8BitDo to put it. I mean, not that big of a deal overall in the grand schemes of things. Like I said, I'm very happy with 8BitDo products. They do a fantastic job, and I definitely would recommend them. However, for a $30 controller, if you're on a budget, if you can't afford a Pro controller or even the 8BitDo for $50, take a look at this one from Tekken, and again, I will put the link to them so that you can check it out, and I'll even give it to Mana if you would like to send it out to people to check out themselves, and you can see it for yourselves. And please let me know what you guys think. If you picked this up, and if you enjoy it, or if you did not, I want to know your opinions. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure they will too.
Without further ado, I am going to plug this in, and let's see what happens.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, I am now plugged in. It is paired, as you can see in the top left corner there. 2 controllers. Oh, gosh.
Oh, probably because your Pro controller is hooked in.
Oh, but if you notice, just like in the original NES Online with the NES controller, all of the menu items now have shifted, and it's the purple and gray, which looks fantastic.
Yeah, I always love that little Nintendo little add-on that they do. It's so simple and very subtle, but it is a nice little touch. And I'll say it, this third-party controller that I have will not do this. So if you're expecting it to act like the Super Nintendo one, no, you can only get that little thing on your SNES Online with just that controller. So you'd have to buy the official Nintendo one. So just keep that in mind.
Okay, well, I have just shifted my controller settings, so it is now the only controller I am using.
Me too.
And sweet. Let's go ahead and dive into some Super Mario All-Stars, shall we?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Fantastic. Okay.
All right.
As you can see there, it gives us the little button combination for suspend mode. All right. So this is a game I remember when it came out, and it was incredible because before this, the only way to play these games was on the NES.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, not only do you have the whole collection on one cartridge, but you have something which really had never happened in my knowledge of video gaming prior to this, and that is a full remaster, essentially.
It really is. This is not just a little highlight, like maybe making it more sharper and stuff. They actually redid this. They changed more colors. They changed the complete sound of it. Like, this is probably one of the first remasters that I could officially think of off the top of my head for that time period. And they did a tremendous job on it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have the Super Mario All-Stars and World cartridge. That's mine. I have that.
Yes.
That added Super Mario World to it.
That is a very cool thing. I didn't even know that was a thing until much later. I never realized they released it with all 4 or 5 titles at that point. That's a great cart.
It is a great cartridge. And I also did pick up the Super Mario All-Stars Limited Edition for the Wii. I did manage to pick that up. Now, I will go into a little bit more detail about that later, because trust me, we'll have some stuff to talk about. But we'll hold on to that one just for a little bit. But I got some things to say, so it'll be fun. But anyways, are we going to start with the original Mario Brothers? Is that what we're doing here?
I think we should start with a little Super Mario Brothers 3, which I know is your favorite.
I love it. It's my favorite. Yes, it is.
And I actually just added or created a room.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and
you have the control. There's a little touch here. If you can look in the top left corner, which you might want to zoom into, you can see that it's showing that you're using the little SNES controller.
That's so
that
cool.
Little touch.
It's not something Nintendo needed to do, but I'm so glad they did. Yeah. Oh wait, I can't do that though.
No, you're not going to be able to do that. I'll do the clapping for us.
You'll have to do all the clapping.
I'll do the clapping for us.
It's like, wait a minute. Yeah. Oh, no. There we go. All right, so I thought Super Mario Brothers 3, being that it's your favorite, would be a fun one to start with.
Sure.
And we can just talk a little bit about some of these announcements. Obviously, I just put out a video where 8-Bit Dad 7DC and I were chatting and discussing the Super Mario Brothers Direct. But you and I have not had a chance to really review it, and there's been a lot of updates about different pieces from that Direct. So this is kind of a post-mortem, if you will, or a mid-mortem.
Mid-mortem, yeah, because not a lot of the content in that video is out yet.
So, right, correct.
Yeah, I'd say mid-mortem. Mid-mortem.
Yeah, let's just dive in. First of all, probably the biggest thing is that we have Super Mario Brothers 3D All-Stars that has come out. I do not have my copy, however, because it was delayed in shipping. But you have yours.
You mean this game right here?
Oh, rub it in, why don't you?
I'm sorry.
Oh, how dare.
You asked. You asked.
But you have played it, correct?
I have. I went through all 3 games. I didn't beat them, but I played through enough where I can get a gist of my thoughts, because I played through all 3 games, so I do know how they play on the original console and whatnot. So I just had enough time for me to dive into all 3 games just to see how they played and looked at all the little details they put into it, and just to get an overall perspective on it, to say.
And what do you think?
I think I agree with a lot of people on it that it's an adequate value. Do I say you're getting the best value ever? No. I don't think so. $60, I think, is just enough. I think there's some areas that they could have done a little better on.
So, I'm curious to know more. What do you mean?
Well, for example, 2 of the 3 games are in widescreen. Super Mario Sunshine was not in widescreen on the original GameCube. It did have progressive scan for 480p, but it did not have widescreen. It did not have an option where you can change it and stuff. That's something they added to this collection. So that makes me think, if you could have done that with Mario Sunshine, why couldn't you have done it with Mario 64? And I do find that a little odd, because 2 of them are widescreen, but this one isn't. And I'm like, okay, that's not that big of a deal. Okay. But could they at least done like a nice little border for Super Mario 64 at least? Make it look a little colorful or something, instead of just have the plain black? At least like for, like, as you can see with us playing Mario All-Stars, yeah, it's nothing crazy, but at least they put some kind of little design on the side. You know, I thought that couldn't have been so hard to do. At least do something like that. But yeah, that is one complaint I have, and I think just like everyone else, don't you think they could have added one more game to the collection, especially with Super Mario All Stars on the Super Nintendo has 4 games.
You know, I'm very sad about that, because as those of you who watched the video that I made before will know, I predicted that the second Super Mario Galaxy would have been an unlockable. My thought was that Nintendo certainly would have included it. It seemed like such an obvious thing to include that to have not included it was almost something I couldn't even imagine. And there was actually a real reason to hope for this, as we found out that there is music from Super Mario Galaxy 2 included in the game. And so it made me really confident leading up to the actual release of the game. But to my knowledge, it has been data mined, and there is, sadly, no game involved or included. There's also people who have beaten all 3 games now at this point. I presume there are people who have gotten all of the stars and things like that. So it seems unlikely that it is an unlockable. But it does make me wonder, maybe was it intended to be included before?
You know, with this whole COVID thing, I could definitely see that being something that it was actually supposed to be on, and maybe they ran out of time. So, this is my perspective. What if, at the end of the celebration of Mario, for people who did purchase the game, physically or digital, they added on as a free DLC?
Hey, there we go.
That would be a great send-off.
Nintendo has mentioned before how much they really like that game, Mr. Miyamoto being a big fan of Super Mario Galaxy 2. So it seems just strange that it's not included, and I think that it really does come down to what could they get out with a limited development team.
Yep.
I've seen some people say, and again, I have not played it yet myself, but I've seen people say on the internet that this is a lazy port. Would you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
I think rushed would be the better word. And I think the
that
reason
makes perfect sense.
And I think it was rushed because they need something to come out. Like, let's be honest, this year for Switch games have been pretty slow. And it's understandable. This COVID has put everything to a halt. And they thought, well, you know, it's a port of 4 games. How hard could this be? But, you know, when you go through the Switch UI and everything like that, it probably was a lot more work, and they needed more resources to get this done. So, what happened is they had to decide, delay the game, or let the game come out with one less game. And it's kind of interesting to me, because when I look at the title, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, that also makes me think maybe they did intentionally just want to put 3 games on there because of 3D, 3 games.
Could be,
Interesting
but
perspective there.
I also really do think that you're right, that they just decided they could only do what they could. And there has been some consternation around the fact that some development menus or some kind of debug devices are included in the game, and this is known to have been a part of the Dolphin emulation not being perfectly accurate. And if that's the case, then it just confirms for me that Nintendo essentially did what they could, and to me that's not very Nintendo, you know? But everybody hopefully will keep in mind that Nintendo does not have everyone coming into the offices and working on developing games right now, because again, it's unsafe to do so. So with that in mind, I really don't feel like this is a lazy port so much as I'm grateful that Nintendo actually got it out.
Me too.
And
Especially
DLC doesn't
quick.
seem that far off. Right.
No.
Right.
Because it blew my mind with the date of it. Like, September 18th, and the Direct was like 2 weeks earlier. Like, what? Like, that was really quick. So for them to get it done, it just makes sense to me. They wanted to let the game out, let people take the time to soak in Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy, and then I think they're going to bring it out as DLC to add on. Because they could do it. They do it with the SNES Online. They do it with the NES Online. There's no doubt in my mind, that they cannot put Mario Galaxy 2. Give themselves some more time to get it done, and then just bring it out in an update. And I think doing it at the end of this limited run release of it, at the end, do this as a final bang to it. Get it right now, and then you can get your Mario Galaxy 2. I think that would be a way they can do it. And when you think about it, it would make the most value. Because this is the way I look at it, okay? Hear me out. I'm just judging these based off of that these games, like some of these games are on previous virtual consoles, such as the Wii and the Wii U, okay? So hear me out. Super Mario 64 came out on the Wii's virtual console, and then the Wii U's virtual console for $10, okay? So I'm going to still keep it at the value of $10, okay? Now, Mario Sunshine has not been re-released at all. So, but it is still newer than Mario 64, but not as new as Galaxy. And they put the Galaxy games on the Wii U Virtual Console for $20. So, let's just cut it down the middle. $15. So, you're getting $15 there, $20 for Mario Galaxy, and then $10 for that. So, you're $45. The other $15, you know, you can put it towards the soundtracks, I guess. Sure. So, that's how I come up with, like, it's enough to make the deal. But just imagine putting Mario Galaxy 2 on there with the soundtrack. Now, that would make it a best value. And I could see them doing that. With the DLC becoming a more popular thing right now, it just makes sense to me that they would hold that off, let people play the first 3 games to enjoy that for a little while, and then go, you know what, here's Mario Galaxy 2 for you.
Interestingly, that makes the price make more sense if Galaxy 2 is included.
Yes, absolutely.
It would be an appropriate amount for based off of their virtual console listings. That said, of course, there's the cost of making the physical card, and in that sense, I could also see where Nintendo doesn't necessarily have to, but it certainly would be a nice gesture, and I think in keeping with the pricing that they've done in the past.
Absolutely. But am I upset for buying this? No.
Sweet.
Not buying it a long shot. I enjoyed it. I love being able to fact that I can play this on the go whenever I want. Because unless you have a laptop and emulator, and a really good laptop, because laptops are, more expensive laptops cost a lot more, and to play Dolphin, you're going to need a decent computer to play, at least flawlessly. So, to have it at a affordable cost to be able to play these 3 games from 3 different generations of consoles on the go, it's not really that bad of a price when you think about it in a long scheme.
Agreed. And really, for the fact that you don't have to go back that far in order to play most of these games, if you can, you can essentially play all of them with a Wii. Unfortunately, you can't access the Wii Virtual Console right now, but it probably wouldn't be too hard to find a Wii out in the wild secondhand that includes Super Mario 64.
$50, honestly. I've seen most prices for Wii's right now. And yeah, that's all you would need. And Mario Galaxy is not really that expensive.
No.
The one game that's going to be expensive for you is Mario Sunshine. That game I've seen alone for $60.
Really? Interesting.
Really.
That's
GameCube games and GameCube system have skyrocketed in price. And the reason I think is because of a video that 8-Bit Dad did earlier about what's retro. I think GameCube and stuff is actually becoming retro now. Because we had that huge spike in N64 games a few years ago. But now they're starting to drop down in price. And now
because
GameCube
of the
is starting to
phenomenon
go
where
up.
people will start getting nostalgic for a system they grew up with. As they get to that age where they have money to spend, then they will spend it to repurchase their past.
Exactly.
Guilty.
Yep, I'm guilty of it too. Because if you really want to know proof, ask how many Super Mario Bros. 3 copies of different console versions and handheld versions of it. Your mind would be blown, and I think my wife would be wondering what is wrong with me.
This is my proof right here. This wall of games behind me.
Oh, if you can see my wall when it's completed, my wife still looks at me like, "Do you need all those games?" I'm like, "Yes," but you don't play them all. I'm like, I still need them.
I need them. They're my precious.
They're my pride and joy.
Oh, goodness.